Hey, As Told by Ginger is an amazing show. I think it's one of, if not the most underrated of its era. Its capacity to handle real-world experiences and topics remains refreshing and unique to this day, and I think you owe it to yourself to experience it if you consider yourself a fan of cartoons. There are a lot of episodes that I love and want to write about in depth, but the one that stands out to me the most of them all is an episode from Season 1 called Hello Stranger. In this episode, the Lucky Junior High Fall Art Festival is coming up, and Ginger's teacher, Mrs. Zorsky, wants her to perform a poetry reading. Ginger plans to write a new poem for it. After school that day, Ginger receives a piece of mail from her father, Jonas. Up until this point, we don't really know anything about him. It's just obvious that they live in a single-parent household with their mother Lois running the show. Ginger is hesitant to open the mail, knowing so little about her father. She has no clear memories of him, and in the only photos that she has, all she can see is his leg, meaning she doesn't even remember his face or voice or know what he looks like. Her friend Darren makes comments about throwing away or destroying the letter, cluing us in more on what Ginger's past sentiments about her father may have been. When she finally opens the letter, she finds a card congratulating her on her 6th grade graduation. And it's certainly late because she's a 7th grader now. The letter apologizes for never being around and says he wants to spend more time with her, and gives his phone number. Darren remarks that this isn't the first time Jonas has said something like this, and that he never follows through. However, having his phone number makes Ginger optimistic that this time he means it. After practicing what she would say, she decides to call him, but gets his answering machine and doesn't leave a message. That evening, Ginger tells Lois about the card and asks what to do. Ever a supportive but firm mother, Lois tells her to listen to her heart, that Ginger is old enough to consider what role she wants him to play in her life, and that he isn't a bad person, but may not change. After their conversation, Ginger starts to work on her new poem. At school, Ginger tells her friends Macy and Dodie that she called her father and invited him to attend the art fair and see her perform. She hasn't heard anything, but she wonders out loud if her parents might get back together. It seems obvious now that Ginger is attempting to reunite all the members of her family. Due to an insane sea snake ingestion subplot, Ginger's mom and her brother Carl are both inpatient at the hospital. She stays with Darren's family, irritated that her brother and mother won't be there to see her perform and see her father for the first time in years. At the art fair that night, Ginger is the last act. She takes the stage to read her new poem, and since longer clips are very hard to show on here these days, I'll read it to you. Hello, stranger. You came just in time. I look for your face in a crowd or in line. Hello, stranger. Not a moment too soon. See, that old picture is fading in the drawer of my room. Now toys have gone lost, baby teeth have come loose. There were accidents involving stitches, spilled juice. Report cards were shown, and one time I got sick. But it's nothing I couldn't catch you up on real quick. Hello, stranger. I saved you a place, and it hardly seems strange, now that I've seen your face. As Ginger scans the crowd while reading her poem, she realizes that her father did not show up to support her. She receives a standing ovation from the audience, and her teacher, friends, and Darren's family all show their support for her. A bouquet of flowers shows up for Ginger, signed Dad. But after the show, Ginger calls her mother in the hospital and thanks her for sending the flowers. And that's Hello, Stranger. A lot of things stand out to me about this episode. Obviously, the biggest thing is Ginger's estrangement from her father. I find it hard to recall any other series that dealt with what my friends and I like to call shitty dad syndrome in such an honest way. What I love about the depiction of Jonas is that Lois and the kids don't just gloss over things and fully let him back in the second he reappears. In fact, Lois falls in love with a new man throughout the series, and he takes on a fatherly role in the kids' lives. The kids have varying reactions to their father resurfacing, both valid. He rarely ever comes to the family home, and when he does, the vibes are really awkward. And we find out things about him as the kids do. We go along with them on their journey of reconnecting with their father. Jonas is flawed. He brings Carl food he is seriously allergic to for a Christmas present. His cards get declined, and his car gets a boot put on it for unpaid tickets. His apartment is designed like a messy stoner bachelor pad. He works odd jobs, like dressing up as Santa. He's very clearly not doing super well in his life. These aspects of him don't change as he makes real attempts to come around and be a part of his children's lives. That's just part of who he is. And while Carl rejects his father for most of the series, Ginger reconnects with him as she grows up, knowing that they can't get back the lost time, but he can be around occasionally to offer her advice and show his support. I still remember crying when I first watched the scene when he showed up for her graduation. Divorces are not clean and quiet in real life for most people. Kids growing up with divorced or separated parents often have to deal with constantly moving between two homes or having an absentee parent. Most shows for kids tend to just sweep this type of thing under the rug if they even dare to do it in the first place. And I really applaud As Told by Ginger for the integrity with which they depicted this storyline. The other thing that stands out to me is the incredible support system surrounding Ginger in the absence of her father. Her mother and brother aren't able to attend, but her friends, her teacher, and her best friend's family are all there to support her. Her mother orders her flowers signed from her dad in secret in an attempt to protect her feelings. And Darren is so protective of Ginger throughout this episode, even telling her that Jonas technically didn't break a promise since he didn't accept her invitation. Ginger isn't growing up in a broken home, or without the support she needs, because her father is gone. Lois makes sure her kids are taken care of, and does her best with them. I really think she's one of the best cartoon moms in the history of television. Her kindness, advice, and guidance for Ginger throughout the show make her one of the highlights of the entire series.
Meet Ginger.
Junior high is like a jungle. It's got predators. They're prey. A few unclassified species.
Trade dentures with you? No way!
These still have prune in them. And me, trying to survive without becoming extinct.
Don't miss the premiere of As Told by Ginger, coming October 25th to Nickelodeon.
Washing hands will keep the evil force at bay.
Washing hands, that's good.
Spying over stalls is coolest as long as you don't get mud on the seat and aren't skipping.
We have a hall pass.
Are you listening?
I can't go when you keep talking to me, okay?
Learn these laws well, young Ginger.
It's undeniable that I wouldn't be in the position that I am in today without As Told by Ginger. And maybe that sounds like a weird thing to say about a slice of life Nicktoon from the year 2000 starring a 7th grader, but it's true. As Told by Ginger was the first thing I ever made a video essay about. That was 5 years ago. If I had never made that video, I wouldn't have watched Toonerific Tariq's video on the show a while later. I wouldn't have reached out to him because I was struck by how much he understood what the show was about, the way I did. We wouldn't have made that Braceface video, and he wouldn't have become one of my best friends on this whole damn burning earth. I wouldn't have met the wonderful people I consider a found family now. I wouldn't be sitting here with a pile of over 30 video essays under my belt, a confidence freshly acquired in my 20s, and years of cherished memories. I would be a completely different person. Who we are as people is a reflection of where we've been, what we've experienced, and who we've known. We are constantly being conditioned by reality and how we respond to it. When I made that video 5 years ago, As Told by Ginger struck me with its ability to handle difficult childhood experiences with grace and realism. I was shocked by how much truth about humanity lay between the random scenes we remember in the nostalgic zeitgeist, and I was stunned by how deeply Ginger's relationship with her father resonated with me. If you've been keeping up with me online over the last few months, you know I moved this spring. I now live 7 hours away from where I lived right out of college. I was there for 6 years. That's a lot of time for dust to settle, for belongings to stay somewhere, out of sight, forgotten. At some point in those 6 years, my mom brought me a blue Sterilite tub of things from my childhood. Whether she truly wanted me to have them or just wanted my stuff out of her house is beyond my knowledge. But when I moved, I went through every single thing I owned and decided whether or not to keep it. It took me a week of work from sunrise to sunset, so I had to go through that tub, even though I was dreading it. There were headshots from high school plays, old drawings and crafts, random rocks, and actual garbage that had no reason to be strewn among my memories. And near the bottom, there were 3 framed photos of me and my dad from elementary school. I was 7, 8, and 10. In the first one, my hair is done up nice, and I'm in a costume my mom made by hand with my friends' moms. Things look normal. I look happy. But the last one was such a shock I had to stop. Because you can see in this one singular photo the things that were happening in my life reflected. I'm in a random costume dress from Goodwill, and my hair and makeup aren't done. My father looks ragged, skinny, unhealthy as a result of what he was busy doing instead of being a dad. And I look uncomfortable, leaning away from him. That innocent light behind my eyes that I saw in the first photo is gone. To be honest with you, a lot of my childhood is blurry. Revisiting these old animated films and movies has been a fantastic way to reconnect with and reparent my inner child because I can't remember a lot of things. So photographic evidence is a real kick in the ass for me, just like it is for Ginger in this episode. And the past 5 or 6 weeks since that day have been harder than usual. I can feel the scar tissue itching again despite my best efforts to be okay. I can feel those old feelings of sadness and anger that he didn't show up for me and especially for my younger siblings. I can feel what my inner child felt when they were Ginger's age. I can even see in this video how messy these feelings are, how difficult it is to organize pain into neat little paragraphs. But a lot of things help. Talking to friends, making art, recording music, sharing my experience in hopes of them helping someone else, living a full life, knowing I'm not alone. So, though I'm by no means a wordsmith worthy of regularly writing poems, as I thought about how to make this video and include my own life experiences, I decided to write my own. Hello, stranger. I had you blocked, but the messages from you keep flooding my inbox. Hello, stranger. Your self-pitying presence still looms, though I removed all the traces of you from my room. I grew up, fell in love, rented a house or 2, felt alone, was depressed, came to terms with abuse, made art and a life for myself despite odds, but these pictures brought back memories of the facade. Hello, stranger, but really, I'd rather say bye. I haven't really known you since 2005. Things get better. We grow up and move on, we set boundaries, and we repair relationships, or we don't. But the people who do show up for us are the most important part of our lives. And those people, and a lot of growth and self-love, are the reasons I'm doing well now. Thank you for watching.
I am the queen of the universe. The waves part. You may engulf me in the waters warm. Can I ask you kind of a weird question?